The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Never forget, Canucks fans. The Canucks chose Rick Tocchet over a chance at Connor Bedard. Well, guess what? I don't know if anyone's upset about that now. And if you're upset, let us know, because we're going to let you know how we feel next here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a part-time credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you, yes, you, right now, tuning in to Locked On Canucks. It is your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also got to let you know that tonight's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Coming up on today's episode of Locked On Canucks, we got to talk a bit about Rick Tocchet, okay? Because you know what? This guy is the front runner for the Jack Adams. I want to talk about how the heck we got here and who are his competitors in terms of other coaches who could potentially win the Jack Adams. And the second segment, want to dive a bit into Brock Boeser's game. How sustainable is his performance from Brock Boeser? What do we like? And is there anything we dislike about Brock Boeser's game? Bit of a deep dive there. And then finally, going to end on a little Luongo talk featuring Kyle Bowen. Let me introduce that guy. My co-host, he is almost as greasy as Roberto Luongo. Kyle, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Luongo is a greasy dude. And I was praying to Luongo at a young age. I had that poster on my wall, 6'3", whatever, however tall he was on my wall. He saw it all. Okay, he saw it all. Anyways, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, another conversation about your Vancouver Canucks. Welcome to Locked On Canucks, powered by that West Coast bias. And off the jump, hey, speaking of the West Coast bias, that Pacific Standard Time, Caleb, am I saying that name right? Can you boys figure out a time and place? He's commenting right now. Dude, it is what it is. Okay, we're fluid individuals. It's the holidays, and we're here now, so take it. Anyways, Trevor, Rick Tocchet, Connor Bedard. That was the choice, 7 months ago, 8 months ago? I'm bad at math. And the Canucks made the right choice by ditching the belief in the dream of Connor Bedard and chasing the coach's bump with Rick Tocchet, a.k.a. the start of accountability and structure, because, again, without that gap, we're not here. And where are we? Rick Tocchet is the Jack Adams Trophy winner at this point of the season.
Yeah, and I think if you look at past Jack Adams winners, it almost always tends to be a guy who has just taken over the team. That's not always the case, but almost always it's a guy who, is fairly new behind the bench that he's coaching. We saw it last year with Jim Montgomery. We saw it the year before, Daryl Sutter. Again, these guys have been in the NHL before, but it does tend to go to guys like a Rick Tocchet who are really just getting their feet wet behind a benchman NHL team. So again, Tocchet right now, I think he's just done such a masterful job of pushing the right buttons. And I heard Ian Cole say today on Sportsnet 650 that Tocchet basically, what caught my attention really was he said that Tocchet was unlike other coaches in the sense that he knew how to push buttons, but he's very approachable. And he said, I think, quote, that's rare among NHL coaches. I found that comment interesting. I think Cole may be thinking more of his younger days because, you talk to media guys, talk to players around the league, and, maybe it's the snippets that we hear, but coaches in general nowadays got to be more player friendly. That being said, there's bad eggs everywhere. There's guys who still want to rule a bench like Iron Mike Keaton. But I think Tocchet has really just struck that balance between putting the system in place, being a player's coach, and really just treating everyone the same no matter who they are in the lineup. Kyle, maybe I'll put you on the spot here. What is your favorite thing that Rick Tocchet has done so far with your Vancouver Canucks?
It was promoting fitness. I'm not going to front. Remember, Remember, day one of the offseason, it started early for your Vancouver Canucks, okay? Earliest amongst all the other NHL teams that couldn't dance when it matters, okay? Day one of that, and the Vancouver Canucks faced a hefty fine for what? Working out, ignoring the rules, focusing on the moment and next season, which was, again, the mindset of last season, right when it ended. You heard Brock Boeser, too, May the 1st, he made the choice to go to the gym right away. I love the mentality that Rick Tocchet brought to the room and the need for professionalism to take place first before results. And I like how the message was loud and clear that, yo, we could flip the script really quick if we take care of business away from the rink. And it's worked. It really has. Just look at Brock Boeser. Rick Tocchet has turned Brock Boeser into a two-way player. Yo, Rick Tocchet has turned JT Miller into a two-way player. That's incredible. I just went back to back. Rick Tocchet is that guy. Now, you did mention how he likes to punch buttons, right? And there was that feeling. I feel as if I read some of this on Twitter in the comments. Again, I don't know anything about Rick Tocchet's past life, okay? But it seems as if when he used to do it, Arizona, Tampa, Pittsburgh, right? Maybe there was moments where he turned players off by doing it too much, by being angry too much. And I thought that might have been happening, a week ago. I was irrational, okay, with the whole Kuzmenko thing. I was like, yo, lay off the dude. Don't call him out in the media. Go to Amsterdam Cafe and talk it out. I was scared of that, but after what I heard from him yesterday, and I don't know if you caught this, but he talked about how Höglander was struggling in that game defensively. Yeah. Yet for whatever reason, it came to him that he should still be given Höglander the biggest chance in that game. Don't take him off that line. He had the itch to do it, but he didn't do it because he felt like he wanted to show Höglander that I got you. I support you. I know what you can bring to the table. Let's forget about those mistakes and be an X factor in this game. So yeah, Tocchet adapting at the same time on top of being really professional is what exactly this team needed.
It's about fairness, right? You look at a guy like Nils Höglander, and yeah, there's been some defensive warts in this game. I think overall his defensive game has been pretty good. I think you and I were even texting about Höglander, and you were the one mentioning some of the bad things he did last night. But, Höglander at the same time has brought that tenacity. I think he's had some good defensive moments, and he's generating chances. He's creating offense. That's something Kuzmenko's not doing right now. And when you're not generating chances and you're not playing good defense, it's like, what are you doing? Right. Mm-hmm. So I honestly didn't have a problem with him going at Kuzmenko in the media. I don't even think he really went at Kuzmenko in the media.
I don't know, bro.
Kept getting asked questions about him. Basically said, I'm tired of answering questions about Kuzmenko. Like he could have said a lot worse things. So I thought he handled the Kuzmenko situation well. That is still ongoing, obviously. But I think Höglander is a perfect example of a guy who, honestly, I think Höglander probably was unfairly shafted earlier in the year. But again, Tocchet realizes he has a young guy here who's got to learn the NHL game, the 200-foot game, what it takes to be a top 6 player in the NHL. And Kyle, how many times do we say on the show? I mean, every dayers know it. We said over and over again that Nils Höglander should be playing more. He should be getting more ice time. Like even when he was the best player on the ice, he was playing maybe 10 minutes a night. So I think Nils Höglander is actually a perfect example of Rick Tocchet, being patient, rewarding the guy, and then when he makes a mistake, obviously talking to him about it, but not necessarily punishing him for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's important in this day and age, and also important for this version of the Vancouver Canucks. You don't want a coach to have too big of an ego. And it may be easy to do that because we're still the Vancouver Canucks. You look at where this team was 8 months ago, we're the laughingstock. So there's a lot to prove here. And again, there could be other coaches that would bring their ego to the table and have it all their motto. Yet I think, again, seeing him being a little soft, which he doesn't like being called. If Tocchet hears this podcast and I just call this guy soft, bro, this guy's breaking my nutsack with a kick.
Come on, man. What happened to Flex Bowen, man? Come on.
Dude, okay. You think I could take Rick Tocchet on? There's no way. There's no way I could take Rick Tocchet on.
What do you go to the gym for if it's not to take on Rick Tocchet?
Bro. Anyways, okay, going back to all that time, months and months and months ago, would you do it again, okay? I know it's only been, again, less than a year. Maybe we're being extremely delusional, but I would definitely take Rick Tocchet again over Connor Bedard.
Here's the thing, right? No. I think it's catchy to say Tocchet over Bedard, but it was Tocchet over a chance at Bedard, and that chance was unrealistic because the Canucks were never going to sink that far.
It was Tocchet or Bedard. It was Tocchet because if we get a head start, then maybe we can capitalize on next season sooner because that's possible with Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko.
Yeah,
it was for this season.
I'm going to be honest. Like I still wouldn't have made the move when the Canucks made it. Now, I was proven wrong, right? And I will fully admit to all the beloved listeners here on Locked On Canucks when I'm wrong about something, because I'm right sometimes, but I'm also wrong a lot. Let's be real. I would not have fired Boudreau in January in the middle of the season. I would have wrote it out. I would have seen how far the team sunk, and then I would have hired Tocchet. But you know what? That's why Alvin and Rutherford are well-paid hockey executives, and here I am recording the podcast. Looking at my two babies on a monitor here, man. It's
the best 30-minute Canucks podcast out there. Okay, for real. And never forget, Trevor, it was a weird moment for us as Canucks fans too, because when Boudreau coached his last game and there was that moment, that meme, him crying, what are the Canucks doing? The laughing stock of the NHL. There we were at Aquilini's restaurant paying a fat tab. Well, I didn't pay it, but you know what I'm saying? It was just a weird moment for us. Elisa, I didn't like the place. Anyways, let's get to some of these comments on the live chat before Trevor has to go read an ad. Look at this guy right here. Look at the hair, man. Shiraz, okay? This guy, coolest dad, one of the coolest dads in Canucks Nation. I don't know why you can't grow your hair like that, Trevor. For real. Anyway, sickest Canucks podcasters on the tube. Thanks, man. We're pretty cool. We're cool, man. We're right up there with Kepner Canucks, man. That guy's a legend, bro. That guy is one of the only guys that wasn't tripping out about the preseason. Never forget, okay? So that energy that he put out in the world, it really worked for all of us. And we'll read more of this after the break, okay? There's a lot going on. Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs. Take us away.
Yeah, Kemperner, Canucks, Rev, Trev, he's a beauty. And Canuck Clay is also a beauty. I should mention quickly here, Canuck Clay will be joining the show in about 12 hours from now. I know we were a bit off today. Usually record earlier in the day. But Canuck Clay hopping on tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. I'll be there. Kyle will maybe be there. We'll see how it goes. But I know what's happening right now. Time for an ad, baby. All right. I got to shout out Game Time, baby. Have you ever been stressed out by buying tickets at the last minute? Because, I'm a big last minute deals guy, and I found the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Game Time. I got to be honest, okay, I have not done my Christmas shopping yet, and that's where Nicole at Game Time comes in, because she's always teasing me with concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Game Time also offers me flash deals on last-minute tickets. You know what that means. I could wait till December 24th, buy the tickets, put some paper in the stocking and say, congratulations, baby. We're going to the Canucks game. I might, if I do that to my wife, I might have to throw some other tickets in there as well. But no matter if you're going to concerts, comedy, theater, sports events, you can do it all on Game Time. So make sure you snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Okay, you're back on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is my second best friend in the world, Trevor Beggs. I remember I got Loki at number 1, okay? Christmas is coming up. Can't wait to get him a gift. One love to the homie Beggsy. And you're doing this, man. You're being a father at home, a single dad at home, just for tonight, whatever it is. And you're doing this instead of being right there by the crib, reading them books and educating your children.
My why are you doing that, man? My kids are sleeping.
Hey,
come on,
man, you can read to them in their sleep, man. That's the magic, okay? That's the magic of reading, okay? Anyways, Trevor Beggs, in love with the Canucks. I'm not going to say more than ever, but I do want to ask you this question every now and then. Do a little audit on your fandom for the Canucks versus your journalistic approach to the Vancouver Canucks in that relationship. How does this feel, okay? Again, we're 30 games in pretty much, and the Canucks are 19-9-1. This is for real. It's going to happen. We're going to play really meaningful games every game outside of all of them are meaningful. This is crazy. We're back. How do you feel?
It's a breath of fresh air, buddy. And for the listeners that don't know, I started writing about the Canucks 10 years ago for free back at Van City Buzz, little one of those unpaid internships. And lo and behold, I'm back at Daily Hive now. So I've been writing about this team since the Tortorella era was my first year, actually legitimately blogging about this team on a consistent basis. And, Canuck fans know, if you've been along for that ride, there's not been a lot of good hockey over the past 10 years. I mean, I do remember writing some one-off articles. I think it might have been the 2014-15 season where the Canucks were the best team in the NHL in late November. So that feeling has been there before. So obviously we got crushed in some of those seasons. Playoff success wasn't great. So it's a lot of fun. I love writing about meaningful hockey. I like not having to rip the team constantly. And I just hope there's a long playoff run to go along with it, man. And I do think Tocchet is the right guy leading the way now. One thing we didn't do in that last segment was talk about, where Tocchet ranks among Jack Adams contenders. I think we mentioned that he's number one. I think that's, if you look at betting platforms, he's number one right now. One guy I want to mention who I haven't really heard been talked about a lot is Todd McClellan with the LA Kings. Because you look at like not just the way the Kings are playing, but the underlying numbers. Like there's an argument to be made that the Kings are the most dominant team in the NHL right now. And I think Todd McClellan, what he's done, again, he's been there for longer. I think Tocchet's got more of the wow factor just coming into Vancouver. No one expected them to be good. But what Todd McClellan's doing right now, melding that the young core with the older guys and having everyone on the same page, I think is really, really impressive. That's enough nice things I'll say about the LA Kings. But I see Todd McClellan as a pretty neck and neck contender with Rick Tocchet right now.
No, but Rick Tocchet is way cooler, man. The NHL needs Rick Tocchet and more of him, and him having success in Vancouver is probably the best thing for that department, right? The coaching, PR, and all that, if that's a thing, You know how like the New England has, the NFL has Bill Belichick and company and Sean McVay, Los Angeles, blah, blah, blah. Rick Tocchet has that ability to be part of the brand. It's just the truth. Brock Boeser, man, he's a big part of the brand. And, there's those posters hanging out Rogers Arena, right? It's the summer. I'm looking at them driving through the overpass or over the overpass. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, those may go down tomorrow because the Canucks just traded him for a 6th-round pick. And again, he's doing all of this, just scored a hat trick against Tampa Bay. We had that one comment tell us that Brock Boeser has been spoon-fed this year, playing on the PP, playing in the bumper spot, playing with JT Miller, blah, blah, blah. That guy's eyes are not working. We saw another dominant performance from him yesterday. Is this guy going to get to 50 goals? That's my question.
I mean, he's on pace for 59 right now. I certainly don't want to doubt him. I mean, the way he's playing, I'm going to go yes. Now, the caveat is it's a long season. I'm going to go yes. Okay, I'm going to go yes. I'm an optimistic guy. I want to be optimistic at least.
Dude, you said it earlier than everyone, bro. What are you talking about? You were the biggest Brock Boeser fan over the summer. You almost named your kid Brock. And if the Canucks traded Brock Boeser, you would have moved somewhere else to cover another team. That's how in love you were with Brock Boeser.
I believed in the Boeser bounce back for sure. I did say that I think the best way to get the most out of Boeser was to pair him with Elias Pettersson, which has not happened. And I think that's what I was wrong about, is that Boeser and Miller have emerged after, being really dreadful defensively last season as this pretty dynamic duo in the Canucks top 6, and playing pretty well defensively. I know they've had their bad moments, but overall playing against team's best players, holding their own, and scoring a lot too, man. And I'm gonna pull up a little chart here for those on YouTube, and I'll exploit it overall. But this is Boeser's goal chart right now, and the light gray means above average. Now, we think of Boeser back in his younger days as being, a guy who's gonna, wire that wrist shot from distance, right? Look at his goals this season. You have this is before he had the 3 goals last night. So one of those came from around the crease, but almost every single one of his goals, all but 3 goals, minus the empty netters, all but 3 goals have come from like right in around the net. So, I mean, Brock Boeser, we've seen it all season long. He's getting to the dirty areas. That's not a guy being spoon-fed. And, I'm always going to bring up the show because it's a good discussion, but some comments are more on the nose than others. I do like contrarian opinions, but what Brock Boeser is doing right now is finding the open space in front of the net. It's the most heavily guarded spot on the ice, and he's finding a way to not only get open, but score and score often. And I think that's damn impressive by Brock Boeser. Again, not every guy in the NHL is doing that. In fact, no one in the NHL is really doing it as well as Brock Boeser right now.
And I feel as if those goals, like those beautiful goals, and we kind of saw one yesterday, they're going to start to compile up and be a part of his arsenal. Because that's who Brock Boeser is. He's got that in his game. Right now, he's just an intelligent hockey player. He's leaning into how he is able to be cerebral. And Brock Boeser is always good at identifying open ice. And he's doing it to a T this year. But again, I think we're going to see a stretch, and we might even see it tomorrow. Remember, yesterday, what did I say? I said the Canucks were going to win 5-1. They didn't win 5-1, but I said Brock Boeser was going to score a couple goals, and it was going to really start this streak. Like, he was going to get that swagger. I'm going to see it tomorrow against Luongo. Luongo's, I guess he's still with the team, with the Florida Panthers during Luongo night. Brock Boeser scoring a couple beauties. I think he's going to go on a stretch here because that part of his game is still so untapped, and that's, again, that dynamic offensive skill that even with him having 21 goals, I don't think we've seen yet consistently, right? Like he hasn't. Look at the way he's been scoring his goals. I just don't feel as if we haven't seen that bar down Brock Boeser yet, and we're going to see that for a long period of time coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily something we're going to see on a consistent basis, but we know what's in his wheelhouse,
Whoa,
right?
you don't think he's swaggy anymore? You don't think he's got it? You
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
he's got
not
that?
swaggy. I'm just saying he's not necessarily looking for those plays, right? I think he
Mhm.
knows his best chance of scoring is going to the net. Look, I just pulled up the chart, man. The numbers back it up. This guy has scored the majority of his goals, really all but 4 goals. Again, excluding empty netters, all but 4 goals have been right around the crease. That is not a guy looking to wire his shot off. Now,
But look what
again,
he did yesterday. Look what he did yesterday. You know, I feel like I see that part of Brock Boeser, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I think we're going to see way more of that during the second half of the season. And it's just what happens after this guy realizes how much of a heater he's on, and he can kind of let it fly a bit more and lean into, again, what we saw during his rookie season. And if you go back to those highlights, everyone in the chat, leave this video. Go watch the Brock Boeser rookie mixtape. Yo, that dude was sick. That dude was not scoring a lot of goals in front of the net, you know? Well, he was actually, but he scored a lot more outside the area, and he was doing his thing.
Yeah, 100%, right? And that's why I wanted to bring up that chart, because it wasn't just Brock Boeser getting 80% of his goals from in around at crease. It was a guy wiring the puck and scoring these beautiful howitzers coming off the wrist shot. Interesting that last night, that one-timer goal he scored, Tocchet said it was a set play. He was wheeling behind the net, Boeser sneaking up to the top of the slot and then ripping the one-timer. So love to hear that the elite talent on this team is finding different ways to attack the opposition. That's what good teams do, and that's what elite players do. That's what the Sedins did back in their heyday as well. So, I mean, that's what I love to see. And now I also want to say, too, I feel like on the show so far, Kyle, you and I have kind of been calling out our takes for being right, for being wrong. I will also say, when we did our pregame prophecy ahead of the Lightning game yesterday, I did say Brock Boeser was going to score against the Lightning.
You did.
I said this guy scored
We're
against Lightning
those
in the past,
guys, bro.
so, yeah.
We're those guys, man. You talk about the Sedin twins, Kyle Bound and Trevor Beggs, pretty much on the same page. Yeah, telepathy, man. That's what it is, okay? We're about to get to break. We'll read a couple more comments here on Locked On Canucks, because, man, oh, man, the people, man. One love, man. Who's this right here? Bill Necro? LA has had a solid upwards climb versus Canucks skyrocket climb. Talk wins for me. Oh, when it comes to who's going to be the coach of the year, Todd versus Rick Tocchet, and just LA in general, man. I think what they're doing this year may look like a surprise, but they've been on the climb for the last couple of years. Like they've been winning games. They know what it's about. The standard has been set there, and they've just added talent and whatnot and doing their things. And I'm really, really stoked to be playing them in the future. I know we got to wait a little bit, right? I looked at the schedule. That was something else,
I think
man.
it's until February.
Okay, next comment. Aaron Phillip, is Jan Bulis available at the deadline? Yo, Jan Bulis, man. Okay, think about this, Trevor. You and I are going to lose our hair very soon. I'm not manifesting that. There's science, there's life, there's dreams, there's, again, magic and whatnot. But again, we're men, 30 years old. We may lose our hair. Who do you think is going to look better when they're bald? You or I? Because I think it's going to be you.
No, 100% you. I've already seen you with the shaved head, but neither of us will look as good as Aaron Phillip. That's the second Aaron I know commenting on the show. Shout out Aaron, just an all-time beauty. Shout out to St. Bernadette's. I've known that guy longer than you, buddy. Let's get to the other side here. And, I talked about, Brock Boeser scoring goals. If you want some of my betting advice, guess what? Make sure you go check out the Sleeper app, baby. All right, a new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Brock Boeser could and will score 50 goals. The Canucks could hoist and will hoist the Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Brock Boeser, Nils Höglander, or Nils Amon will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper, so start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability.
Damn. Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs, my guy, my brother. It's been a decade plus since I've known you. Another Christmas dinner. Dude, we're brothers for life, man. That's a beautiful feeling. And now together we can watch real hockey games that matter for our favorite team. And again, Game 30 coming up soon. The next half of the season is going to be big, and I'm blessed to be here with you and the people. Hey, speaking of the people, man, Japan, I think this guy may be from Japan. Let's just assume he is. Shout out to Sushi. He's saying, yo, homie, man, Sushi, if I could get a tray for Christmas, like they wrapped it up, like they got it fresh, and I would be happy. I would eat sushi for Christmas breakfast, and that would be an amazing time.
What are your thoughts on naked sushi? You ever heard of that? And would you do it?
Sashimi?
No. It was in Vancouver like a decade ago. I don't think it's still around. I don't think it's very COVID friendly, but basically you'd pay a whack of money and like eat sushi off of a naked girl.
Nah, come on, man. What, like?
Would you do it?
No way, dude. I'm loyal, man. I got a girl. My girlfriend's hot, bro. I'm not sacrificing a hot girl just to eat sushi off a stranger's
What if she was down to go with you? She's like, I want to try this out.
Nah, bro. Okay, come on. You know the deal, bro. That's a traumatizing conversation because my other girl left me for a girl. So it's like, I don't want her eating sushi off another girl. Okay. Come on, man. Why are you doing that, man? You should know me. Okay. Speaking of trauma, Luongo provided a ton of trauma. It's just the truth. He did. He was there and he sometimes wasn't fantastic in the playoffs. It is what it is. I've never been fantastic in the playoffs. So, we're kind of the same. Anywho, outside the trauma, the belief and the hope that he instilled in all of us was literally at an all-time high. And we've never gotten there since, his era of Vancouver Canucks stardom. And man, oh man, tomorrow's going to be emotional. Trevor, I asked you 15 minutes ago, like, oh, where's your relationship with the Canucks when it comes to if you're more of a fan / more of a journalist? Like, tell the people right now, man. Are you a fan first? That's what I want to know, okay? Because if that's the case, tomorrow you may cry.
Yeah, I've thought about this before, and I think when they're winning, I'm a fan first, and when they're losing, I'm a journalist first. Because I don't. We talked about it before. Every day is no. You and I have talked about it on the show, but I don't tend to get too worked up over losses. Now we'll see that might be tested if there's a big game and they're losing. Like even the bubble playoffs, I was on edge, man. But when they're winning, I'm definitely fan first. But I've been writing about the Canucks for 10 years. I always got some kind of idea on the back of my mind in terms of writing topics and podcast topics here on Locked On.
There you go, man.
Canucks.
So what's the title then? Tomorrow, it's Luongo night. Ring of Honor. Was he snubbed? Like looking back at it, we had the conversation a couple months ago. You can check out that episode. Fast forward to the present moment. Are you feeling any other way? Because I'm not. I think Luongo being in the Ring of Honor is the perfect choice. And it's not surprising to me at all that this regime and Aquilini decided to not retire his number because the standard is different. And I'm not going to front. I feel as if maybe Alvin and Rutherford, there's a 4% chance that Aquilini was thinking of doing it, retiring Luongo's number. And Alvin and Rutherford were like, yo, what are you doing? We're not starting this era of Vancouver Canucks hockey celebrating another player from that team to the highest regard. Okay, let's say some of these numbers for what we're about to do, and that's win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I'll tell this as well. Again, if you're not an everydayer, I did last year for Daily Hive write an opinion piece about how Luongo's number should be retired, and I wrote it because it was pitched to me, and I'm a good writer, baby. But at the end of the day, I think the Canucks made the right decision. I think it's the right choice to put him in the Ring of Honor. Obviously, he was a great goalie, but like all this talk about like the Canucks are making a big mistake, they should be embarrassed. Shut up.
Ooh.
Come on, man. It's like you said, Kyle. There's been too much losing, too much mediocrity in this market. Why are we going to honor a guy who, again, great goaltender, had his moments, both bad and good, wanted out of the city again for other reasons, but he wanted to leave Vancouver. I mean, it's just there's a lot to the Luongo situation. I'm glad they're honoring him. He was the best goalie in franchise history, but I firmly believe they're making the right decision by putting his number in the Ring of Honor and not retiring his number. I'm really curious what Canuck Clay's going to have to say in about 11 and a half hours from now on this show. That's our next episode. It's going to be 8:30 a.m., 11 and a half hours from now. So I think we should get out of here, man. Half an hour mark. Kyle, anything to say to the people?
Yeah, yo.
Before we get out of here.
One last note. I love Luongo. He's the guy. I got a lot of respect for him. So much so that I think tomorrow, every time Demko makes a save, the building should loot. That'd be cool. Is that lame? Is that corny? Like, come on. Is it? I think it's cool, dude. Anyways, my name's Kyle Bowen. That right there is boring Trevor Beggs. No Christmas spirit to join his life. And one love, man. One love to all the listeners. We got, who do we have here? One question, okay? From Brando, the critic. If you guys could pick who scored the goal to win the cup for the Canucks in Game 7 overtime, bonus points for how they would do it, who would it be? Dude, I don't care, man. It could be Noah Juleson, bro. It don't matter. Because when it happens, I'm getting naked, dude.
I'm gonna say this right now. I've been fantasizing about this. Speaking. I'm not gonna go as far as saying I'm gonna get naked, but I've been fantasizing about this. You know, you look at the standings right now, and two of the best teams in the NHL are the Boston Bruins and the Vancouver Canucks. In my mind, I am certainly hoping for a rematch Stanley Cup Finals. No, call me a dreamer, but the Boston Bruins, the Vancouver Canucks, the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals rematch. Let's go, baby. And I would have in Game 7 OT Boston native Connor Garland, one of those third line guys. Okay, Connor Garland scoring the OT winner for your Vancouver Canucks. And that's how we're going to end the show, baby. So shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of us who join us on the live show here on Locked On Canucks. Coming up in, 11 and a half hours from now, Canuck Clay coming on the show, 8:30 a.m., for those who want to join us live, for those who want to join us on podcast platform or on YouTube after the fact, the episode will be there for you. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bowen, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.